Let's just get right at it. But before we do, I just want to go over exactly what you're going to need for tooling before you get into this. And so to cut the hole, once you get there, you're going to need an angle grinder. This is what we really like to use and suggest. But to actually put the whole thing together, you're going to need a drill to start. If for some reason some of the holes don't line up, you'll need a rivet gun. We like to use the electric version, but you can also use just a handheld riveter. There's no need to buy a very expensive rivet gun if you're just doing a single project. So the door actually will come with all your hardware. So you got the hinges for the hinge side, and then your lever with the cover and everything for the latch side of this door frame. So a few other things, safety glasses when you're drilling, and then just a marker to mark everything out. But yeah, let's get at this. So let's take our side frames. They're a new portion of this frame that actually should hold the whole thing together while it's sitting here. So yeah, look at that. So just planting that there now holds this. And if we jump around, probably do the same thing. Hopefully it doesn't drop. Look at that, that is new. So that I really like. That keeps everything in place for me. It's a one-person job now. Oh, like butter. And so maybe just one rivet per side while we're still trying to align it. This thing's already together. I do have 4 more rivets to put in, and then just the rain drip. And this thing's already ready to set the slab in here with the hinges and start cutting a hole on the container. So I'll just finish riveting this up. So now that I've put the other 4 rivets in the 4 corners, it's just put the rain drip on. So you're gonna wanna choose which side to put the rain drip on. And so the footer and the header, they are the same part in this kit, but the latch side and the hinge side are separate parts. So if you install it on that side, we're gonna get ourselves a right-hand outswing door, or if I install it on this side, I'll get a left-hand outswing door. And so in this instance, we want the right-hand outswing. We're gonna install it on this side. Now that we have the frame together, we can get to marking the rough opening on the container. Double check your measurement, make sure you cut it in the right spot. We'll get this stuff out of the way, show you how that's done. What's really cool about these 32-inch doors is that the rough opening is pretty much 33 inches. The corrugations are 11 inches on center, so 11, 22, 33. Basically, if you just cut right down the center of the corrugations, odds are the door is gonna fit in there. So if you did mark the center and even just cut on the outside of the line, you're gonna be good. These 2 welds here are the center of the shipping container, and then the door is gonna install on the outside corrugations just inside of there. So here we should be able to just eyeball it and run a line down. I'm curious. You definitely don't want to use a level. You just want to measure off a common point on the shipping container, because if your container is not sitting level, now you're going to have your door kinked to one side or the other. And same thing on the other side. And we are at bang on 33. So we haven't gone all the way to the top where the rough opening is going to be. One thing about measuring the top is we're gonna wanna leave the weld in place and install the door right on top of the welds. You don't wanna cut through the welds because it's difficult. So we're gonna cut right on the top of the weld, and therefore that's probably where you should measure from. We got 81.5. So that there, I got them all marked. And then if you've ever done any container mods before, and you have any scrap corrugation, we love this. You can use, there's flexible rulers or whatever to transfer your line across, but this just works so great for us. So if we have ever cut anything that's nice and straight, now we can utilize this as our marking template. So this, you'll notice a hole in it, that's for our big Air 45 vents. There we go. Next step, grab a face shield, angle grinder, even a guard, gloves, cut her out. When you are cutting your rough openings, make sure that you leave a couple tabs uncut at the bottom. So these 2 outside corrugations, if you just leave, say, 1/2 inch of metal on both sides, then when you finish cutting everything, the whole thing is going to hinge and fall outwards, and you can control the fall. So you can set a pallet here if it was a big heavy panel and you just want to lift that with your bobcat or forklift afterwards. Another important thing to note is when you're cutting, if you start by cutting the bottom, then you're not gonna bind your discs. If you cut everything first and then cut the bottom, the weight of the panel will actually bind it. So if you always try to cut your bottom first, then go up and across the top, that's gonna be the easiest or the least amount of effort in cutting it and the safest. You don't wanna explode a cutting wheel, it's super dangerous. Thank you, William, for cutting that out. I'm just gonna jump inside and do the easy part. There's just a couple tabs to cut, and I'm gonna drop this panel. I'm gonna drop it outwards, and I'm not gonna have any extension cords laying on the ground when I drop it. There are very good odds that you'll run into a D-ring where you're cutting the hole as well, so I just wanna hack that out of the way. So it's Monday morning, we are back, and the boys already got a bulb seal, so I'll just put this side bulb seal, I'll peel it off and show it. It's just a U grip and then a U bulb, and it grabs the one flange here on this side. There's this lip here up at the top that I wanna tuck in underneath the upper corrugations that are still left there. Fits in there really nicely. So we'll want to make sure that the frame isn't parallelogrammed, so it has to be nice and square. And especially even with the weight of the door can pull on the frame a little bit. So a lot of times when we install the door, we want to prop something under the door and almost just kink it so that it's tilted upwards. So once you take the pressure off and gravity's pulling on that door, it does sit nice and true. And so basically make sure your latch is centered in the hole where the latch goes. Right now, this container, we did not try to level it, so it's not level. So if you run a level across the header, you're gonna be struggling with that door and the operation of it. So you definitely just wanna trust the corrugations, measure off of that and follow that. Finally, just trust the operation of the door. So if the door is operating smoothly and the latch is latching dead center of the latch hole, you know you've done a good job. You got no daylight coming around any of the corners. We'll throw the hinges on and then put the door in. We'll get everything nice and centered before we even tack the frame in place. Honestly, probably just do them by hand, but with these drills, if you turn it to the #1 setting, with these hinges, there's an open side and a closed side. That open one is the bottom, so you don't want rain or ice getting in there. So that's typically the bottom. A lot of times with these frames, I don't know if we send them with the hinges installed already, so just be aware of that. Most people use a right-hand swing door, so the same swing as this, and probably the way that we should install them for you guys. But if you are doing a left-hand swing and you were worried about that, then rotate the hinges. So here are these doors. We get them so that they're just single prepped, so we can actually rotate the door one way or the other, because you want to make sure in the back side of the hinges here, there's only able to accept the hinge on the one side of the door. I don't think there's much door frames on the planet that are truly reversible like this. This is also a really heavy door. There's doors made in Taiwan that are like a white fiberglass or something. You can like submerge them in water for 2 years and they're still good. They're awesome because they're solid. And then for shipping, they don't get damaged. Plus, if you're doing a mod job, say it's a bunkhouse or something for your cabin or whatever, and you want a prettier door, they're a nice white door and they're a paintable door. Voila. So we're gonna start with the hinge side. That's where all the weight is. So we're gonna tack the bottom of the hinge side, then we'll get the frame nice and plumb. Once the hinge side of the frame's in, then we can adjust the door up and down to make sure that it's running nice and square. So first step. We want to make sure we're nice and plumb upwards. We'll get some rivets in here, then we'll yank on that and we'll finish off the latch sides. So it looks really good inside there, so I'll put the top one in. You feel the gap along the top of the door, the bottom of the door, and you look down here and everything's looking good. Another thing, sometimes we like to just put the latch hardware in the hole without the actual lever, and you can look at that to see if it's striking right in the dead center of the hole that we've allotted. It's really good, yeah, straight across here to where that latch hole is. I think we'll be happy with where it is. You can even check the door seal around. Not gonna be any daylight coming around any of the sides, top or bottom. Let's tack the latch side of the frame in now. So we're actually insulating this container, and because we're doing that, we're gonna install our storm chain a little bit differently, but I drilled the holes out anyway. So here we have 4 holes. If this was a non-insulated container, we'd put the storm chain on the inside, and then you'd use longer rivets, and you go right through 3 layers and compress that storm chain, and then the other part of it installs on the door here. We might even install it here for you, just because I think a lot of people are buying this for the non-insulated position, and that's something we can just quickly drill out those 4 rivets. Just put normal rivets back in. Let's get the other 2 in first. If you are insulating yours and you do want to install the storm chain on whatever your return is that you're finishing the inside header portion of the door, then you'd only need to drill out the bottom 2 holes, not the top 2. So here's that storm chain. We supply these with the Container Modification World door kit, and we've laser cut into the range rip portion of the header the exact hole size. So William should, in theory, be able to just hold that up inside there, and I'll put the rivets through the back. Man, so the final thing here, we already sealed it up between the flanges, the side flanges, and the container. So we just need to take our sealant and go across the header here. In our previous video, we used a top bulb seal for that. That actually would potentially allow water to come through it. So a lot of people are like, oh, where's the top bulb seal? Where's the top bulb seal? We actually don't really agree with it after thinking about it. We just like to cut our hole very straight, a nice line, and then just seal that with this dowel seal, which is amazing stuff. So we'll do that next. Also grab some clear at the end. There's just a few little fold lines on the outside of the header, and potentially if you can see any daylight coming in from the inside, we'll get those as well. But on this specific mod, we are spray foaming the interior, which is just gonna lock all of this in anyway. But I do definitely wanna show you guys that. So William just put a mark where he wants that. It'll hold it at, I don't know, what is that, 135 degrees or so, all the way swung open. And now I'll close the door on him, and he can install that from the inside. We closed the door first to make sure that it wasn't colliding with the door seal, because the door seal comes first 1/2 inch of the door. Here, just so I don't walk with my drill bit, one would want to center punch the holes. Got them. So the levers that we get have a couple pins here. You can drill additional holes in the door, and then you could utilize more areas to clamp your lever to your door. But we've found just the other 2 snugged right up when you're sandwiching it with the plate here. We still utilize the stainless strike plate that comes with it. It's because the door frame is galvanized. As you scratch the galvanized, I guess you could expose the mild steel that's underneath there and cause premature rusting. So the stainless steel strike plate's a good idea. Also, the frame is built to accommodate that added material thickness. So if it didn't use it, the latch would actually be further away from where it's supposed to latch, and you'd be adding extra stress on the latch of your door lever. So we do have this 32-inch door all installed now. So what we love about this door is that it is very shippable. It is great for e-commerce. We can ship the slab itself and then the frame separately, and then a DIYer could put all this together and install it in their container. And what's really cool about them is that the whole thing is 35 inches wide. So our old 36-inch man doors, the whole frame would jump to another corrugation, and the frame was 44 inches wide. So we've reduced the frame size by 9 inches, which is substantial. And what's the best part about this is you'll see a weld right here, and you see a weld right here. So now this door is dead center in this 20-foot shipping container. Instead of this having to be offset to one side or the other, now we can truly center the door and then have windows towards the end of each. This was a big aha moment for us, and so we're happy to use the 32-inch door. If you need additional width to get into your shipping container, you have container doors on the end of the can. So do you really need a 36-inch door? That would only be in instances for accessibility, but not necessarily just your everyday person just needing additional or easier access in and out of your shipping container. So if you loved our video and watching us develop this over the 12 years. Please help us out. Give the video a like. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to our channel and ring that bell for notifications. And as always, check us out at tcg.ca. Hope you learned something.